What do you think of my new setup? Best be good because it was pricey. Today, we're going to be going through OSG breakdown under 90s. We've done the under 80s. We're going to go on to the under 90s now. Under 90 class is absolutely amazing at the moment. It was such an amazing competition. I think there was 5 people drawing on points going into the stones. But there was about 7 people very close in points that were really close to taking the win. And stones obviously an amazing shake-up. Awesome competition. We're going to be going through the top 5 athletes today. So we're going to break down the top 5 athletes overall in the competition. And we're going to break them down each individual event. Start off with the winner, Mr. Tyler Davies. Spoken to Tyler just like we did with the under 80 lad. Tyler's done OSG twice before. He came 9th in 2021 and 1st in 2022. So that man's made some amazing progress in the year, hasn't he? Fair play. He said that that year, 2022, he did 6 competitions in February, March, June, August, October, and November. 5 first places, boys on a roll, including a local upper middleweight show and a regional heavyweight show, 90 kilo nationals, 90 kilo worlds, and 90 kilo OSG worlds. 1 third place at Clash in August. OSG's the big prize, but he didn't necessarily prioritize it from early in the year. He just trained for whatever his next competition was. Fair play, absolute boss. That's a good year, Tyler, isn't it? You've done all right for yourself. He said he's going to be back at OSG next year. He said, don't have a weak event. Make sure your weight cut goes well and you rehydrate efficiently. Learn everything you can from the experienced athletes whilst you're there. That's a really good point actually, because when you go to OSG, you're surrounded by literally hundreds of athletes that you can just pick gems from. One of the ways I've learned a lot of the things I know is just from spending a lot of time around different athletes, because yeah, everybody and every single gym in the area will have little tricks and tips that they use because it will have been passed down from the athletes beforehand and whoever maybe runs the gym. So that's a really good point. And yeah, if you do go OSG, you're surrounded by people that you can learn from, so make sure you do. In second place, you had Nick Myers. Nick was the winner of OSG the year before. He's actually competed in OSG 4 times though. His first year he came 4th. The second year he came 5th. Third year is when he won it, and then this year, came runner-up, came second place. He did say, though, that especially last year, OSG was a priority, so he did prioritise his training for OSG this time round. He's the current dumbbell world record holder, which I think maybe the pound-for-pound strongest dumbbell press ever. I think it was. I think Ben Doney might have taken you now, unfortunately, Nick, but I think you were right, because I remember Josh Lancaster working it out to the gram, and you were a little bit ahead of him. But I imagine maybe now that Ben's added 5 kilo to that record that maybe he is. Who knows? You're still a G. Yes, he'll be there to get a second title next year. So next year's OSG 2023, he's coming back for a second title. Has anybody repeated OSG? Don't think they have. So maybe we're the first person with repeat titles. Play your own game. Stick to your own game plan that you and your coach set in place. It's a 3-day contest with 2 events, 2 days in a row, and 3 in the finals. In my opinion, it's easy to chew on this. You just take it 1 event at a time. Once you do the second event on the first 2 days, it's recovery. The work has been done. Keep your head screwed on straight for the finals. Know the points will change and just stick to your plan. Yeah, that's a good point, because sometimes people feel like they get shafted when the points reset. But overall, you've got to understand that if you're going to this show to win, day 1 and 2 don't matter. Whatever the hell the points are at the start of day 3, that's when the real competition starts. Good point. Third place, Gav McNamee. Really glad that Gav did well. Seems like a top bloke. Amazing deadlift as well. This was his first year at OSG, so he's never done an OSG before. We asked him if he prioritised OSG or did he compete a lot. He said he competed loads. He did 8 or 9 competitions, winning most of them. All right, big shot. Fucking hell. And then coming 3rd at OSG, 3rd at WUS in Paris, only a few weeks previous. And then he came 6th at Ireland Strongest Man Openweight, playing with the big boys. 3 or 4 competitions through the space of maybe 2 months, so he didn't really prioritise OSG. It was just training for 1 competition. When the next one was done, we got ready for the next. But most events were fairly similar, which helped layer training. Interesting. Gav has broken the under 90 kilo deadlift world record 3 times. Greedy bastard. The most recent was 2 weeks prep after OSG. I plan on breaking every under 90 kilo Irish record next year. I also won the farmers and yoke events at OSG, so I will claim to be the best under 90 athlete in the world at moving events. I can't argue. Yes, he plans on doing OSG next year, but will probably be the only 90 kilo competition I'll do next year. Clever man. 90 kilo lads, if you want to be absolutely savage under 90, you need to be a big boy. All right, which means the cut kind of gets difficult. It's a good shout to minimize your exposure to the weight cut and make sure that you only do it when it matters instead of doing a weight cut every 5 fucking minutes, because people vastly underestimate the stress weight cuts put on your body. He says, get there and try to enjoy it if it's your first year. My goal was to just get my name out there and try to make top 10, as I'd only competed against 2 of the guys that were there. I found competing over a few days suited me better, as having so much time between events, you had more time to warm up and be ready for the next event. Just make sure you're fueling up properly between events, and that will be the main issue. I was wary of being sore on the second day, but I was fine. Maybe if it was over 3 days, it might have been different and caught up with me. I think that OSG really, I mean, I've not done it, so I can't say for certain, but I've done 3-day comps before. If you've only got 2 events, it's not that much really, is it? I know you're going to be going all out. It's 2 events, 1 work set on each one. You should be able to recover fine from it. If you're worried about the recovery between days, you probably didn't train correctly for it, because yes, you're going to get beat up, you're going to be a little sore. Yeah, it's not something that you're going to be able to not handle, in my opinion, because you're going to have been training these events for weeks and weeks leading up to it. Your recovery between days should be okay, obviously unless you get a niggle issue or injury. Right, then we have Cam Peters in 4th place. He said this was his first big show he's ever done, so he's not done an OSG before. How many times have you competed this year and how did you do? Did you prioritise OSG? It was only my 2nd year competing in Strongman ever, and my first 6 months as a 90kg. I went into this show really no different than any other show I've done. I just didn't let the fact it was a big show or a world show make me any more nervous. Tried to stay calm, cool and collected. Do you hold any records or titles, including former records? I don't have any records or titles. If you followed OSG at all, I held 1st and 2nd all weekend, going into the finals with a partially torn patella tendon. Last event went in tied for 1st and just couldn't finish the stone series in time. I wasn't good enough, but it's okay. No titles though. Maybe besides the regional for OSG, but I am competing at Clash. This guy sounds like he's got some mad future under 90, doesn't he? Will you be doing OSG next year? Hands down, I will be OSG. I want to claim a world title. It's a beautifully ran show and the athletes are always first. I'm personally not a fan of the 5 to 6 hour wait between one event to the next. Finding peace and relaxation after you went full out in 60 seconds to come out and relax is a little mentally exhausting. So a tip I would say is that be prepared to flip the switch and quickly turn it off and relax. Have fun. I'm not saying I dislike OSG, but I did dislike the long wait. I enjoy a fast-paced show more. That's just me though. Advice I give to any other competitor is to have fun. Enjoy the moment because no one can take it away from you at the world stage. But be prepared to find comfort in relaxing and find out how to stay mentally relaxed between events. Talk to people, meet people, eat, learn, soak it all in because it's never guaranteed you'll go back or even be able to stack up against the top guys. It's an ever-growing sport and people are just getting better and better. When I say it's different, I'm speaking in terms of the chill, compete, and then massive rest time. In no means am I knocking another show. No, I agree. I understand what you're saying. The thing with the break between events is you need to just, like he says, be prepared for it, and you need to make sure that you're able to switch from your sympathetic, nervous tone to your parasympathetic, which is why I always give my athletes parasympathetic switches at the end of session so they can practice nasal breathing, relaxing, and bringing the nervous system down. Because if you stay in a sympathetic state for 3 hours between events, you're going to be all jittery and nervous. You're going to run into issues like cramp. Yeah, it's not going to be the best for your performance in the next event if you don't calm down. So last one, guys, then we'll get into the technical breakdown. So we got Mr. Leroy Smith. This is his 2nd year at OSG. He finished 5th both years. This year I have had around 5 competitions and he's doing another one this weekend at the time of writing that message. Do you hold any titles or world records? England's and Britain's Strongest Man 2022, former world record holder on the Monster Dumbbell, and he plans to take it back tomorrow. Not sure if he did take it back, because I'm assuming tomorrow has been. I've not seen anything. I don't think he did. Maybe he did. I don't know. I don't think I've seen that. Will you be doing OSG next year? Yes, I plan on being again. Funds depending. Yeah, it can be an expensive trip, mate, can't it? Look into some sponsorships, mate. Britain's Strongest Man and England's Strongest Man under 90kg 2022. Reach out to some companies. Reach out now. Don't wait till 2 weeks before the show. Reach out now. Hey, bro, look, November time, I'm going to Worlds again. I've come 5th twice. But this year I'm going to get on the podium, I guarantee it. I'm already Britain's Strongest Man, England's Strongest Man, former Dumbbell world record holder. Will you please sponsor me? £250, boom, easy money. Get 5-6 sponsors, cover your trip. People don't think about that. Be out there, be pushy. If you don't be pushy, nobody else will be. 100% it's a different comp over 3 days, and the weigh-in this year is a bit off, and any advice I could give would be to play your own game, let others do them, and what will be, will be. Stay level-headed, because that's what cost me this year and last, lol. I'm not sure what he means exactly as to what he... maybe he thinks he lost out on his top 3 placing because he made a mistake that he shouldn't have made, and it cost him a couple of places, because when you're doing a competition like this, you can't really afford to make little mistakes to cost you a couple of seconds, because a couple of seconds is a couple of places, couple of places, couple of points is in the under 90 show, a couple of points is the difference between first and sixth. So yeah, anyway guys, we're going to get into the actual breakdown now. So we're going to go into the Viking press. We're mainly looking at the top 5. However, on some events, the top 5 of the show are actually anywhere near the top 5 in the event. Here we've actually got some different athletes, and we're going to be looking at Narimu first of all. Narimu's done OSG twice before. He won it in 2019. This year Narimu came in 7th place, so this is how crazy the 90 show was though, because he had the possibility of winning the show into stone. So yeah, he came first 2019, came 7th in 2022. It's not like he's declined in performance or anything. It was just an amazingly competitive show, so he's still on you know, best in the world form. He's an absolute legend. Narimu's on the far left here. Out of all competitors, I would say that Narimu had the best dip. Look how deep his dip is. His torso is vertical, and he's got so much forward knee travel that he's able to get a crazy amount of leg drive in here. It basically looks like a thruster, but it works so well with his mechanics. The thing that plays a role here is the length of your femur, really, and his kind of anthropometrics, I believe is the term, allow him to get so much power out of those legs. He's also got odd coloured knee sleeves on, which will add 10% strength. Look at that for a rep there. He's keeping his head back as well, and then making sure he drives through his sticking point. So similar cueing points to what we went over in the under 80s, really. We'll take a look at McNamee over here. Gav's dip there is quite a bit off, to be honest. Let's have a look again. Yeah, his dip's really off. It'd be nice to get a side view, if there was any side view action. So there. It's hard to fully see, because obviously it's kind of zoomed out. But basically you can see there that Gav's dip is in what I would personally refer to as 100% full knee snap position. So that there is really not going to be an efficient position for applying force into the Viking. And when he extends, you can see he's really relying on his strict press strength. Whereas Mr. Weaver over here, if you look at the difference in dip, Mr. Weaver on the right hand side, look at his dip. So it's really deep. See how deep his dip is? But he's got a more vertical torso, and his hips are loaded, his glutes are loaded. What Gav's missing is he's just driving his knees forward. If you were to record Gav's dip from the side, you would see that his shoulders are here, his hips are here, and his knees are here. So he's actually like this from the side. If you watch this, Gav, record yourself from the side on your dip, because I imagine if you do this on Viking, you probably do this on log as well, because log exaggerates this even more. So this might help you out, mate. I'm sorry if you have a coach and I'm stepping over on toes. Right team, so I got to apologise because after finishing the recording and getting to editing this video, Shannon realised that the memory card ran out. Something happened, fucking not happened. Some shit happened, so I got to do it again. So you will be flicking to future me, looking a bit sexier, but on my diet, lost a bit of weight. So let's go. So in the Farmers Walk event, we had 140 kilo, 15 drop 15. We had Gav McNamee take the win in this category. Don't surprise me Gav took the win here actually, because monster deadlifters tend to be amazing at Farmers Walks, because very rare you get someone with a big deadlift with shit grip, and obviously picking up the farmers quickly and being light in, feeling light in your hand is of massive benefit. Then we had Mr. Nick Myers, Dan Benson. Dan Benson's also a great puller, so again, doesn't surprise me that he smashed this. Aaron Blackford and Ryan Largy took the 4th and 5th place, those two. So Gav's on the end over here, the furthest lane. As you notice, Gav's already got his grip set and his hips dropped. Mr. Larson on the 2nd lane seems to only have just taken his grip. Maybe he likes to just kind of like hinge down and grab it quickly. But anyway, as Gav starts here, look at that start position. He's leaning forward. Mr. Larson's still picking up the farmers. Valenzuela on the other end is still picking them up. Gav's already fully locked out, leaning forward like a machine. Farmers are pointing down. He's already taken his strides. And boom, the farmers start to swing straight, gives him loads of acceleration. This man's off the screen, and these first two have only just left the line. If we take a look at the start again, we go right back to the start of this video. you'll see that Mr. Gav McNamee and Dell, I'm not sure your first name Dell, so I'm calling you Dell, are set, ready and braced. Dell's even got his hips dropped already, and he's ready and braced. Mr. Larson here is kind of taking his grip last minute. He's still wrapping his hands under. And then, yeah, I personally would have got set and braced and a lot quicker than this, because I just believe it slowed this pickup down. Also, these two on the end here, they've picked the farmers up and locked out, then took a step. With an event like this, you want to stride as you're picking it up. Yeah, you don't want to be stand up then step, because the difference is ridiculous. The man's left the screen. These guys are just taking a couple of steps. So that's something for those two guys to go away and work on over the next year for if potentially as a farmers at OSG again, or for other competitions to get a bit more speed, is be more aggressive with that pick, guys, and be confident in being able to take a stride as you're halfway up with the lockout of the farmers walk, and it'll drastically improve your start speed. Also lean forward a little bit, because if you look at the torso angle of Gav when he first picks up this farmers walk, boom, look how far forward he's leaning, his shoulders like over his toes, whereas these two on the end are kind of bolt upright, it's shoulders behind heels. Lean forward a bit. Anyway, we'll try and take a look at Gav's strides. Yeah, look at these big long strides. That man's stepping over puddles, you know what I mean? He's walking through the town centre and stepping over lava. He ain't stepping on no lava. He's got fast strides. He smashed it really, hasn't he? I mean, I think he pretty much finished it before those guys had even done the drop turn. Doesn't surprise me that Gav won that, because everything he did was perfect. Perfect pickup, perfect stride length, fast feet. Right, let's go for, who came second in this? Mr. Nick Myers. Let's try and find Mr. Nick Myers. Nick Myers is the lane 3. We've got Derek in lane 1, Leroy lane 2, Mr. Pope in lane 4. So let's take a look at this. Leroy's taking a big breath in, getting his brace, his hips are back, legs are extended. Nick's already in position to pick up. Mr. Pope's wrapping his hands around the farmer's walks, getting set, and so's Derek. And then they've all dropped and braced at the same time, apart from Mr. Pope. But these guys have started picking up whilst Mr. Pope has just dropped his hips. Same thing here with Nick and Leroy as well, and Derek. They've picked it up and they're all leaning forward. On the end lane, lane 4, he's miscued his pickup, which has cost him a second here. He's still halfway through picking up, everybody else has picked up. On farmers walks, guys, whether they say 3, 2, 1 or ready, set, go, or they're just going to surprise you and go. Once you're in position, get your grip set, drop your hips. It's a high pickup. You can breathe in that position. Just breathe there. Get ready to brace. As soon as it says 3, 2, right, brace. 1, pick it up. Don't have your hips back, setting your grip, fiddling with it, moving it a mill up, a mill down. Trust me, moving your hands and going, oh, mill, oh, there, oh, no, maybe there, oh, where should I go? Oh, there. That's anxiety speaking. Yeah, that's not a drilled athlete. That's you panicking and trying to get the world's most perfect grip. It don't fucking matter. If it's a mill up, a mill down, mill left, mill right, makes no difference. You don't need to sweat over your grip that much. Set it, set your hips, get ready to go. Boom. So as they're striding off, look, Nick is still leaning forward really well. So's Leroy, so's Derek as well, actually. Yeah, nice forward leans. Nick is completely off, isn't it? He's got long strides as well. Oh, Leroy with a bit of a drop there. Fast drop turn for Nick. Yeah, he's got really, his stride lengths as long as he can get. So overall with the farmers walks then, very similar, the top guys are very similar position to what we said in the under 80s, which is great because it shows consistency and it shows that there's fact. In positions, there are fact. Its positions are great in Strongman because there are some positions that are kind of individual, but there are some cues that are factual. It's very, very important for you to understand the factual cues, because if you're not doing them, it's a huge mistake. Yes, there are times when we can say, oh, this person would do this person do that, different ways, etc. But farmers walks, when you're setting up, 3, 2, 1, right, braced, hips drop, grip set, confident in your grip. Your grip, you should have learnt your grip in training. You don't need to fiddle with it, you don't need to wrap your hand, try and get it 2 mil higher, get max wrist flex. You don't need to do some crazy shit like that in competition. Do what you've trained to do with your grip. Set your hip, explode up. Every single athlete that was top 5 is leaning forward. So they're picking up, they're keeping shoulders in front of midfoot ever so slightly, and they're striding their first step as they're 3/4, halfway picked up, so that they're getting that first stride in. And the farmers are naturally going to swing forwards like this, and then as you step, they're going to swing boom like that and give you a little bit of momentum, and they're going to stride long and fast. so that they're able to keep the momentum going and obviously get the fastest time. So there were consistencies there, and it's worth learning that. So we'll move on to the next event, which is the actual deadlift for reps. I'm not going to talk too much about this because it said deadlift. We're going to look at Dan Benson, because Dan Benson's deadlift was absolutely amazing, and I think he was in the same class as Gav, who came joint second as well. Is Leroy on this one? No. So Dan's on lane 2. Now, the thing with Dan and Gav is they both have an extremely similar max, and they're both amazing deadlifters. And if you look at the speed of the pulls, especially the first one, Gav's a faster puller than Dan. But Gav's, this is the great thing about strength and conditioning training and just getting strong in general, is you just have different nervous systems and different physiological changes within the morphology of the muscle that enables two lifters that are similar strength to have completely different outcomes on a rep event, and it's really fun. So Gav's extremely explosive for his first couple of reps, but does hit a bit of a wall. But Dan's not necessarily an explosive puller, to be honest with you. Even on rep, if we go all the way to the beginning and we look at rep number 1 for Mr. Dan Benson over here. It's not the fastest pull in the world, especially compared to Gav's. It's not a speed rep, is it? It's not slow, obviously, because it's kind of light for him. But it's not the fastest pull in the world. But you'll see with Dan, his reps haven't changed. Gav's have already, at rep 5 or 6, there's a noticeable reduction in bar speed already, especially now in rep 7. But Dan's is, he's very consistent. He's like a low gear puller, I'd refer to him as. He can pull at a slow bar speed, but keep it consistent through the whole range of motion. Whereas a lot of big deadlifters, they struggle to pull slow. It's like they're fast and they hit a wall and it's grind time and they're going to hitch and move and try and change position to get through the sticking point. Whereas Dan's able to just like consistently rep through his sticking point. And it's pretty awesome, and it's so fun to watch all these different athletes, the ways that they'll be able to be noticeably different on like rep event versus max event, etc. Just because of the different nervous states and physiological differences. Pretty awesome. So we'll go into the sandbag to shoulder next. Sandbag to shoulder was won by Tyler Davies, and then Narimu, then Derek did really well in this event as well, top 3. So we'll take a look at Tyler, who is on the far right here. And Tyler's gone here for a side lap position, actually, so a horizontal lap. And then when he's loading it to his shoulder, he's going for the old face crusher technique. Interesting. I wonder if he does it on the heavy bags as well. Up straight to the face. Yep, he's eating these sandbags. See, I would not advise anyone to do sandbags like this, but this is the great thing about Strongman, is that just because, so he's going to really struggle with this one. Oh, he went onto his left shoulder, he changed it. That's cool. So basically, yeah, I would never advise anyone to do sandbag like this because it's not efficient, to be honest. I mean, you can kind of, if you're going to do a horizontal lap, what you should do is what he did on the last bag, is what I was going to say. He comes over to this first bag here, and he basically pops it all the way onto his left shoulder, but then doesn't put it on his left shoulder. He just like puts it on his face and then on his right shoulder, which doesn't make much sense to me, but the man's an animal and he won, didn't he? So it doesn't, this is the thing with these positions, there's being efficient, but there's also the other side of the coin, and just being a savage cunt. And if you're a savage cunt and you've maxed that stat out, then it doesn't matter, does it? But yeah, to me it would make more sense to, when he gets to this position here, especially when he stops, I'd be pushing that onto the left shoulder rather than round my face and onto the right shoulder. Like I say, these positions that I tell you guys to do, I'll say this is the best way to do things, how I advise, but there's always someone who's doing it different and doing it faster and better than somebody else. Because like I said, if Max that savage stat, isn't he? There's always reasons why athletes do stuff as well. Maybe that position, even though I'm saying it's a little bit inefficient, maybe it feels strong as fuck, and he's like, I'm just doing it this way because it feels better. Maybe he tried the other way and it didn't feel as good. So it's important with Strongman to never take anything as gospel, all right? Never take anything as absolute gospel, because there are factual positions like I spoke about, but there are also the positions that are individual. So for example, a factual position in the sandbag would be he's got it close in his hip here, so that he's able to get proper powerful hip extension. He doesn't want it further away from his body, does he? We would all agree that's a factual position. Individual thing, once he's put his power in and extended, Whether he like fucking scrapes it along his face or whether he puts it directly onto his shoulder, I would argue that's probably an individual position. You could go either way. Although, to me, I just wouldn't do that because, yeah, I don't like the taste of sweaty sandbag. And the strange thing here was, when he got to this heavy bag, maybe this is the thing with athletes, they're going to go into this show with a game plan. Maybe Tyler's game plan was fucking scrape fuck out my face on the first 3 and then don't do it on the last one. I'm not sure why that would be his game plan, but on this one, I think he adjusted in the moment. I think he wanted to scrape it across his face, but realised, oh shit, this is heavy, motherfucker. I'm tired, I've been competing for 2 fucking days, I've been stood around for 600 hours, I'm just gonna, you know what, it's closer to this shoulder, I'm just gonna put it on this shoulder. That's what I think he did. I think he adapted in the moment. And one of the key skills you got to have, if you want to be good at strongman, if you want to be winning fucking worlds like Mr. Tyler Davies, you need to be able to adapt in the moment. It's one of the most important skills that you can have as a strongman. Because when you're lifting odd objects, things happen, yeah? Fucking, you do it a million times in training, but this one time, you know, or the bag slipped down a little bit, or I didn't quite get my grip set, or this happened, that happened, this happened. Are you going to fumble the bag because you're out of position, or can you adapt in the moment to achieve the end goal? Can you get that object to point B like you're supposed to, whilst having a little bit of a fucked up thing happen in the middle? And that's what he did there. He adapted and adjusted. And it's having skills like that and being able to do that, because it's all well and good practicing perfect positions, but when that whistle blows, if you happen to end up not in that position, you can't cry about it and hope to start again. You just got to roll with what you've got, haven't you? Anyway, we'll look at Naramu, because Naramu's the coolest fucking dude in the land. So he's going for the more vertical pick and he's pushing forward. Bit of slow motion lag going on here, guys. Sorry. Oh, missed that. Don't know what happened there. But he's now on the 3rd bag. Yeah, in close. Again, factual position. He's pulled it into his hip, nice and close. This 4th bag here. Oh, right, he's going now. So this one, he's pulling it in close, got it right into his hip, hand down low, 1 pop, and then onto the shoulder. What geezer. I actually think he did that. I actually think Naramu made that sandbag a little harder for himself than he needed to, because if you look here, so once he gets himself in this, after this first pop, and he gets his hand under it here, his hips are through. What I would have advised, and what I would have thought he would have done here was rebend his leg and get a second pop to the shoulder. But he kind of just like leans more back, and he does pop a little bit, but it's more through like his arms and upper body, isn't it? That he does it through. So yeah, I did think he made that harder for himself, but again, don't fucking matter. He's an absolute beast. Maybe there was a reason for that. Maybe he felt it slipping down. Maybe he felt like if he bent and popped, the sandbag would move. Maybe it was only just balanced. So he thought, you know what, I can't dip and drive here. So again, adapting in the moment and doing these things are things that you got to do as an athlete. And he got it on his shoulder, which is, yeah, what he needed to do. He did his job. Absolutely spot on. We'll take a look at Mr. Derek Owens as well. Where's Mr. Derek Owens? So let's have a look at Derek's run. So he's going for the horizontal lap. Oh, max jump. Oh, he's going for the face scratcher as well. Oh, yeah, face scratcher. Maybe this is a good technique. Maybe I need to try this. Maybe people do it for a reason. It don't quite make sense to me, but maybe it does. I'll have to try it. So let's see if he face scratches this one. Oh, big lap. Nice jump and pop. Oh, yeah, face scratcher. Oh, no, he's going to the shoulder as well. Oh, so he did the exact same thing. He did the exact same thing as Tyler Davies. I wonder if these two train together. I wonder if these two know each other. I wonder if this is a technique. I wonder if there's a reason for this. If there's a reason for this, Mr. Mr. Tyler Davies, please tell me. I would like to know. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try it and see why. I'm going to try it and see if there's a reason. Oh, he's hype, bro. Something I'll talk about on Derek's that he has an exaggerated trait that he does here, which is very good. and it's something worth taking from this actually. Sure, you all know what the stretch shortening cycle is. What he's making use of here is on his lap, boom. Look at him, I didn't mean to pause so perfectly. He's flying. He has jumped and extended with kind of double extension, I guess. He's not got his hips through, because you can't, it's impossible, the sandbag would go flying. So he's kind of double extended here, but then what he's doing is, as he lands, he's popping straight into his hip extension afterwards. So he's almost using the stretch shortening cycle to increase the power, does it there, again, increase the power of his extension before his face scratching sandbag shoulder. Boom, does it again there, really obvious. Oh, does two there, because the first one he lost his line, so he re-popped. Must be something that he's drilled here, very efficient. Does he do it on this big one? It's quite a tough thing to lap, this big sandbag. Yeah, pops. Yeah, so he's using it really well. Obviously, it's more difficult to do it on the max one, but that's a really interesting takeaway point, that you should all be doing that on your sandbag loads. Even on stone loaded and stuff, you can make use of it. It doesn't have to be quite as exaggerated as that, but make sure you do make use of it, because again, you're going to get a better transfer of power when you go into your actual hip extension if you do use that stretch shortening cycle. Car walk next. Car walk was Gav McNamee, Dan Benson, and then Cam Peters, top three. Naramu and Nick Myers were just sat outside of top three. We'll take a look here at Dan Benson, who came second. So Dan is on the far corner. Dan's hands are low. This is the interesting thing. All right, I'll tell you what, we'll talk about this. Car walk. Whenever you do car walk, every single car walk that I've ever seen or used or seen people use, it seems to always have a slightly heavier at the front, which means the car is going to go an angle down. Now, when it comes to grabbing the sides of a yoke, if you are in a car that's slightly heavier on the front, you want to make sure that you take your hands lower, because if you take your hands lower, you're going to have a better leverage over moving the yoke straight again, okay? And one of the keys to being good at car yoke is keeping it either completely level or the back wheels can touch the floor. It's okay for the back wheels to touch the floor, because if it taps the floor, it'll just kind of swing forward again. And as long as it doesn't overswing and the front tyres hit, you're okay. But if the back tyres hit and it swings forward, you can then control it again by pushing forward again. So you do want to take your hand as low as possible, because this will give you the best leverage over that swing. Now, with a car yoke, it's usually a little bit different inside to a normal yoke, and sometimes you don't have much freedom as to where you can grab. So it's always best to, if you're restricted as to where to grab as low as possible, because you will then have better leverage over the yoke staying stable. If you look at Dan here, he's got his hands right to the bottom of the window. Now, I don't know if that bar ends at that point and that's as low as you can grab, or if it goes further. I ain't been inside this OSG yoke, so I'm not sure. But you'll notice that Mr. Pope on this side has his hands high and Dan's got it low. Let's have a look if there's a noticeable difference between the swing of the yoke in both the athletes. Dan's is pointing up already. The back tyre's on the floor, the front tyre's raised. The back tyre's now tapped the floor. This is okay, like I say, because if the front tyre taps the floor, boom, you're going to stop. The back tyre taps the floor, it's just going to kind of knock you forward again, okay? So Dan's now leveled himself out. He's managed to get control of the swing. He's tapping the back tyre more often than swinging further forward, so I imagine he's got good control over the swing of the yoke. Let's see if it goes back to Mr. Pope. What's going on here? Is he done, or is he... Yeah, so as soon as he's picking it up, the front end's slamming forward, isn't it? Yeah, front end's slamming forward again. So the yoke is obviously front weighted. I think he stood too far back as well. Maybe this is just a bit of a shitty event for him, but I think he stood. It looks like he stood behind the centre of mass, so when he's picking it up, he's almost picking it up in that angle. Not sure what's going on there, but let's move on. So we will take a look at McNamee. Where's he at? Gav. Oh, Cameron came second in this as well. So Cam versus Gav over here. So we'll pause it right away. Gav is he's not quite as low as Dan, but he's lower on the handles than Mr. Pope. He isn't right up at the top of the window, he's kind of mid-window. But look at the angle of Gav's yoke. It's angled, back wheel is tapped, so he's pushing forward, I'm assuming. Mr. Cam's yoke's very straight, which is good, and his hands are towards the bottom of the window as well. So as Gav is coming along here, again, that yoke now, the back wheels, the front wheels started to come down, but he must have adjusted, and now the front wheels are raised, and then he's boom across the line. Mr. Cam, again, his yoke's angled well as well. Really good. Let's see if we can see somebody who maybe takes the hands too high and fucks it up a little bit. Let's see if we can see anything like that. We'll take a look at Naramu. How did Naramu do on this one? So Naramu's kind of mid-window as well. Oh, this guy on the end here, Mr. Tyler Davies, he's got his hands super low. His are below the window, which means that you could take them lower, doesn't it? Right, so let's watch this. So Tyler's hands are really low, and he's striding fast, and he's pushing, and the yoke's angled really well. Naramu's yoke's angled really well as well. Now it's catching him up. Awesome. This is a good race, isn't it? Boom. So both these guys did a really perfect job there. Really perfect job. The thing with the car, what you want to really take away from that's different from a yoke is control of the car. You don't want the car to control you. You don't want it to swing down this direction. You want to make sure that it's level or anything other than level. You want the front wheels up, and it's okay to tap the back wheel now and again, but you don't want that front wheel to tap because it'll just stop you dead. Similar thing to the farmers as well. Fast strides as long as possible. With a heavy ass yoke though, and a car, you probably want shorter strides and try to go faster with shorter strides rather than open it too much, because you'll be at risk of dropping the yoke or overstriding with such a heavy yoke. So we'll take a look at Leroy's dumbbell, because Leroy is an absolute G on the dumbbell, and obviously he won this event. So let's take a look here. Now this that he did there, this is really clever actually, because there's somebody else in another class, kind of like snatching / swinging a dumbbell front raise style over his head, and that shouldn't have been allowed. That boy should have been disqualified. But what Leroy did here is perfectly within the rules. He cleans it, his arm lets go, and then he drives at the same time. Look how fast that is. He's already put that dumbbell down. Your boy over here's still just got it in rack position. Does the same again for that second one. So fast, it's amazing. Takes a second on this heavier one. Make sure he's set. And then now he's onto the big bad boy. Awesome. Yeah, I can see why he won that event. That was fast. Let's take a look at Nick Myers though, because Nick's fast as well. And he's obviously the world record holder in the dumbbell. Oh, Nick is real slow, or I'm real high. Nick tried to go super fast there, like Leroy, and cocked that up. Oh, you did a bit of a cheeky dip with your arm on there, Nick, didn't you? Oh, lucky little bastard. The 180 pounds, I imagine he's going to start cleaning things up now. Yeah, he locks in that hip position there better, and yeah, the other two dumbbells he was trying to use a less efficient technique to go as fast as possible. I think here he gets told to put this dumbbell back on the block. This could be up there with the shittest rule I have ever seen in the history of Strongman. Why the fuck did he have to do that? Poor lad. Still came second though, so it's okay. But it really was, by the way, we'll look at this position here, because he drops his hip through, perfectly straight line, dips, presses it, no problem. It really was, in this event, you got punished for dropping it on them little tiny pecker pads, because you've got this massive 4x4 meter black mat, which is okay to drop the dumbbell. I didn't get disqualified for that. If you drop the dumbbell on there, go full Mark Felix and just slam it down, no problem. But if you put it on the little pecker mat, you put it on the mat that it's supposed to go on, you put it on the pad that saves the kit, that's fucking 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters, if it rolls off of that, oh, you got to go put it back on, mate. I think that could be possibly the shittest. Like, who thought of that rule? What went through your mind? Sorry guys, if you put it down on the pad that protects the kit and keeps it safe so that it can be used properly by the other competitors and doesn't dent the dumbbells, etc., if you use that pad, if it rolls off, you're going to get punished. But if you just drop it down on the thin black mat and damage the dumbbell, that's okay. That was real strange to me. I don't know what went through people's heads when they did that. So this is an example here of getting screwed over by being a nice guy. In a competition, guys, if Nick would have just hoom-tinged that down there onto the black mat instead of the pad, he would have saved himself about 10 seconds probably. Because, and not only that, but when the ref comes up to you right in your face when you're swinging a dumbbell through, hey bro, you need to move that dumbbell, bro. It's the most off-putting thing in the world. It snaps you out of flow state. It makes you turn around and think, oh, sorry, I'll put it back on the fucking pillow for you, son. And then you've got to go back in and get yourself back into flow mode again and do it. So yeah, really strange rule. Sorry for the rant there, but it was shit. Atlas Stones, the final event, the best event at OSG this was, because in the under 90 class, you just didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know who was going to win. Yeah, it was crazy. I'll tell you what though, we were watching this live and in our group chat we were chatting, and I actually thought to myself, if I had to bet like my house on who's going to win, I would have said Nick Myers. And the reason being is because he's just a really, really, really good stone lifter, and I felt as though he was going to pull a big run out the bag. People needed to place certain places, everything needed to fall right. I think that Nick absolutely smashed this this stone run. It just wasn't quite enough to get him the overall win, because Tyler ended up coming in second place on this stone run. But he did an amazing performance. So let's have a look at Nick's stone run here. He loves just sending that chest hair with them stones, doesn't he? Boom. Beard on there, chest hair on there. Boom, easy. One motion in the first two stones. Lap and load for the third stone. That's still quite a high platform. Derek's going strong too over there. Derek with the lead. But this is where Nick can start to pick up the pace a little bit. Easy load there, straight into the final heavy stone. This is the one that just gets people because it's a fucking monster. Sets himself, he knows his big points. Close stance, gets the stone pulled in perfectly. He's extending for his life, and boom, perfect placement. So much good proprioception to know, let's fucking go, son. So much good proprioception to know that he'd got the stone on, was confident enough to extend and come back and push the stone. Just brilliant. He's a fucking G. I love it. So we'll take a look at McNamee and Cam, because I think McNamee should be a good stone lifter. I don't know too much about Gav's overall stone game, but I just have a feeling he's a beast at it because he's got such a big deadlift. Taking a bit too much time on that first stone for sure, but still a good consistent load. Yeah, good second load as well. Definitely being a bit reserved with his speed, but by this point in time, he's probably fucking half cooked, isn't he? So, can understand it, mate. Yep, really good fourth stone. These boys are onto the heavy ones now. So this is, I believe, is about a 155, 160. No problem. This is a 170, this final stone. Yeah, Gav with a great lap. Oh, just cutting it a bit short. Oh, God, that was the difference between a couple of places, that, wasn't it? Crazy. Oh, Cam's got this lapped as well. Oh, just cutting it short as well, the extension. Wow. Yeah, by the end of this show, these guys are going to be smoked, so their extension's going to be a bit limited because of just the amount of events that they've just done and how smashed they are. We'll take a look at Leroy and Tyler here. So let's have a look at Tyler, because he obviously won the show and came second in the stones. So he only needs a fast 5 by this point, and he's going with the one motion as well. So is Leroy. Leroy said he lost... keep your head, he lost it. Maybe it's on the stones. Maybe the stones he makes a mistake. So we'll keep an eye on Leroy as well. They're both keeping good pace though at this point. Really good pace. So this 5th stone goes on well for them both. Awesome. Then the 170 stone. Both lap it really fast. Impressive work, boys. Oh, will he get it? Oh no, just no man's land. You see, I've posted these tips before on stone loads, but you see what Tyler did there? Needed to be more patient, and he needed to wait to extend onto the platform. So right, we'll take a look at this final stone again, and what we'll find is that as he starts extending here, he needs to wait, keep waiting, keep extending, but he tries to put it on the platform. You need to just keep, if you ever get in that position, guys, you need to just keep extending and just wait, be patient. You can really, that's a position that you can really grind in, and if you give it yourself the patience and the time to get the height, then go for the platform, you're going to have a much higher chance of success. Overall though, the performance in the under 90s class was absolutely awesome. The under 90 class is the class that I started out my strongman kind of competitive journey in, fuck you want to call it. It's a class that's close to my heart, and I do believe, without sounding like a dick, I do believe that the 90 kilo scene around about 2010 to 2015-ish was extremely high standard, and it was way ahead of its time in my opinion. And then I do believe that from like 2014-15 to 2019 area, I believe that the scene, it wasn't filled with high level athletes. It had a couple of standout athletes, but it wasn't as if you got, you know, 15-20 people in a world show that were absolutely outstanding. I think now that has completely turned around, and I do believe that you're looking at the strongest lineup of under 90 athletes that have ever competed in the sport. I don't believe there's ever been a stronger lineup at all, to be honest with you, because yeah, when I first started in the under 90 scene, I was involved the year after the under 90s kind of came about. So I wasn't involved in the first ever under 90 show, like the first ever nationals, etc. I wasn't involved in that, but I was involved in the second, third, fourth and fifth. And the standard around that time was absolutely wild. You had people like James Ward, Rob Ward, Tom Hibbert, me, if I do toot my own horn, Adam Travis, Brandon McDonald from the US. You had Carlos Reyes as well from the US, who's now gone into powerlifting, is an exceptional powerlifter. There were a load of standout people as well that came into the sport from like powerlifting, like Chris Jenkins. Although Chris was at OSG this year, when he was in his prime powerlifting state, when he was pulling like 350, 360, 370, whenever he pulled raw at 90, you know, he was doing a few strongman shows about there as well. You had some weightlifters that had kind of finished weightlifting. You had Olympic athletes in the UK that had been doing certain sports and had kind of retired from their Olympic sport and gone into strongman. The standard was absolutely wild. And when I kind of stopped competing in the under 90 scene, one of the reasons being was I didn't really see the competitive side of it too much for a good couple of years. But now when I look at these boys, I think, wow, this is the highest standard under 90s ever. Like, the top 10 at this show are just outstanding athletes. Well, top 20 to be honest. Everyone's just incredible athletes. It was an amazing show to watch. It was inspirational. It was fun. It was motivating, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed the final stone run. A competition being that close between that many top athletes was just amazing. The only thing disheartening about it was obviously I'm a big fan of Narumu. I think he's an absolute G, and it was kind of like a coin toss, that stone run event, wasn't it? There's a couple of seconds here, there, everywhere. You could have been first, you could have been seventh, and he kind of got the a short straw at the end there. He's still an absolute boss. It was still amazing to watch, and hopefully, well, he said he's coming back next year. Hopefully, I get to see him compete again next year. Make sure you give these under 90 lads a follow. They're all absolute bosses. They're all absolute Gs, and they're amazing, and they're going to be helping take the sport to the next level. So that's all the events done through the under 90s. I apologise that the video was a little cropped. Like I say, we had a bit of an issue with editing and stuff, so I apologise if there's a little mix and mash, whatever the fuck the thing is. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully maybe took away one or two good cues or nuggets you can apply to your own training. Make sure you subscribe and stick around for some more videos. We'll make sure we get out more regular content. Like I said, I had a bit of an issue with editing. I've been a bit ill. It's been Christmas. There's been a lot of stuff on, so I do apologise about the infrequent uploads, but we'll get back on it. As always, I'll see you next time.